relationships with others, our relationship with our parents, our relationship with our siblings. We got so used to saying that women are stressed in pregnancy that people do, this hand, oh, she's just hormonal. She's just hormonal, it's just the hormones. Don't worry. Yes, we are hormonal. Yes, we are stressed, but maybe instead of giving stress such a bad reputation or ignoring it, we can learn to teach how to work with it, to make this journey into motherhood a journey of well-being, a soft journey of discovery and adaptation. These precious moments of pregnancy, especially the first, they're exciting, they're rejoicing and full of mission. However, they're also so confusing, full of ambivalence and mixed emotions. It's just like everything else, a matter of balance. I think we can offer women a road to walk towards their health factors. We can give them a safe space to meet all kinds of emotions. We don't need to say that's good emotions, that's bad emotions. It's just emotions, and we need to give them space for that. While doing it, we should screen for those that find pregnancy too demanding and ask them, maybe it's a good time to go to counseling. When you're pregnant, you're a lot more motivated to make changes. We can use this idea of don't do it for yourself, do it for the baby. And they do it, especially in the first pregnancy. So if you find a woman that had been traumatized, and unfortunately in our world, most women are traumatized, then it's a good time to tell them, how about getting some help right now? Those that are traumatized, we know they're more prone to trauma. So why is it so important? Except the obvious that we want our patients to feel well, there is data to show that chronic excessive stressors with women with poor coping skills may be associated with lower birth rate, delivering earlier, more pregnancy and labor complication, and trauma. I will tell you and I'll show you, I have this beautiful uterus with me. Look, why and how. But I'm asking you now, is this the whole story? If we know that so many mothers were and are stressed, some of them worried, sick, some of them traumatized, what story are we not hearing here? It's the story of those who cannot speak. It's the baby's story. So what do you think? Does stress and trauma during pregnancy and birth affect the baby? For how long? Starting when? So basically what I'm asking you, when does learning begin? Does learning begin only after we are born? When does the baby learn how to react to stressful events and to happy, fun events? The answer is that some of the most important learning happens long before we are born. Babies start learning about the postnatal life, the world they'll be joining us in the womb. To the Western medical community, this is still news. But our Chinese ancestors, they're probably laughing because for them, this was common knowledge. I don't know if any of you heard David Miller's talk yesterday. It was a very, very fascinating talk. But his language is science. And I respect science. And my language is emotions. So I hope this will be like a full round. I heard him. I got very confused. I got very worried about my speech. I'm going to talk only about emotions and how emotions activate our body, okay? So, no science here. Tai Jiao is an ancient Chinese concept. Tai means fetus and Jiao means to teach. And the Chinese called it fetal programming. So Tai Jiao suggests that the way a woman lives while she's pregnant, her environment, both external and internal, influences her baby who will become a child and will become an adult. In Zut and She, we find these lines. While the child is in the uterus, it shares the same body with its mother. When there is heat, both become hot. When there is cold, both become cold. If there is disease, both are diseased. If healing occurs, both recuperate. For that reason, the mother should take particular prudence and care about her food and drink, as well as her daily life activities. You probably know that in China, when you're born, you're already 1 year old. So they already count the life in utero as your, right? Yeah, as your first year. In the last few decades, scientists are studying this subject. They're very excited. For them, it's like big news. I have a friend, we'll talk about him, Dr. Marek Glazerman, and I came with a pile of books of Sabine Wilms, and I put it on his table, and I said, your stuff is really great, but that's so old news. Why didn't you ask me about it? Here, read. Okay? They call it fetal origins or intrauterine programming. And they're so enthusiastic about it because they think it's revolutionary. Again, they should have asked us. But recent studies show that chronic prenatal stress have lifespan effects on human health and development. Babies who experience chronic stress in utero are more prone to attachment difficulties, stress hyperresponsiveness, asthma, allergies, difficult temperament. Trials have shown that children that had severe stress during pregnancy, they're a lot harder to soothe. And think about the woman, if she was stressed and her baby is hard to soothe, what kind of circle is not stopping here? And they also suffer from more affective disorders. I want to emphasize something here. And not only it will affect this baby, it may alter the genetics of this human altogether. Because chronic and prolonged stress may affect the epigenetics. I'm sure you all know what epigenetics, but I'll still remind you that in a nutshell, it's the study of biological mechanisms that will switch genes on or off. It's the way our gene is expressed in life. In the context of pregnancy, it means that the experiences of the mother can alter the way the baby develops. And it can make some genes express themselves, and it can make others to be muted. My friend Dr. Glazerman, he's a brilliant gender medicine researcher and an OB specialist. And he wrote that for the rest of its life, the individual's body will try to achieve equilibrium according to these set points, the set points that were programmed in utero, which can have ramifications that reach far into subsequent generations. So the developing brain is so sensitive to stress hormones that it changes endocrine axes that can cause permanent changes in the brain function. If the brain of the baby is getting constant messages that life is dangerous, this is what it will expect to meet with life. The baby has one goal, right? To be prepared and ready as possible to the life out of utero. So the baby is actually doing a very normal thing. It wants to have a reaction to what it knows in its life in utero. So his reaction is normal, and it's a normal reaction to an abnormal, or I should say, unfortunately, normal in our world, but pathological reaction of the mother to her world. By the way, you know, the gender of the baby, it changes the way this is programmed. Boys are more prone to learning difficulties, and girls are more prone to anxiety and depression. I read so many fascinating researchers. As a daughter, I really like them. I can blame my mother for everything. But I have 4 kids, so I have a lot of blame to carry on my side, right? So this is his book. It's called Gender Medicine. For me, it's one of the most influential books I've ever read. It doesn't only speak about babies, it speaks about women and the way women are not taken care of well. We are not medicalized, we don't get the right medicine. I really, really, really want you to read this book, okay? So babies are not born clean slates. They are already marked by life, by the environment they grew in, the outside environment, the air the mother breathes, the food she eats, and the drugs she consumes. But also the baby is influenced by the internal environment of the mother, her emotions, her reactions, her thoughts, and her dreams. The baby is born with curiosity of someone who already felt the world. And when they are born, they realize that what we experienced until now was dimmed. And it's like, you know, a veil is lifted. I'd like to emphasize again something. Perhaps it's my guilt, right? I'm absolutely not saying that women shouldn't be stressed. Stress is normal. Life is not predictable, and it's actually what makes life so interesting and beautiful. Moderate stress is linked with favorable outcomes, but what I am saying, that if we support women, if we support ourselves, we can have better resources to react to stress. And our babies will have better resources to react to the life when they'll be born. Stressors are just triggers. It's a reaction that makes the difference. From a Chinese medicine perspective, we'll see that an early life prolonged stress impacts the heart-kidney axis. And it may interfere with the triple warmer distribution of yuan qi. We'll talk a lot about it. And this stress disturbs overall circulation, preventing blood from properly nourishing the baby. But when it's too long or too strong, the adrenals, we call them, kidney yang, at the beginning they're overactive. They'll show heat and urgency, but when stress continues, they'll become exhausted, and kidney yang and all kidney functions will be deficient. I love Elisabeth Rocher de la Vallée. I know you all know her. She's a really interesting French translator. And I read her translation of Guanzi in chapter 39, which describes the development of the fetus. And this ending passage is so beautiful, and it speaks about the fetus around midterm. So she says, the eyes see, the ears hear, and the heart is able to reflect. We are talking about the baby, right? What the eye sees is not limited to the sights of mountains and peaks. They may also examine what is indistinct and minute. What the ears hear is not limited to the sound of thunder and drums. They may also examine the sound of a baby's cry. What the heart reflects about is not limited to understand what is coarse and gross. It may also examine the secret marvel. Isn't it just so beautiful? So how can we help? We can help women build resources for better reaction and adaptation. We can seek out for women more prone to trauma, help them choose the right support to minimize threat. We should reach and teach ways to manage stress, to motivate movement, breath, talk, sound, voice, whatever you think that will benefit your patient. We need to try and give pain and challenges positive atmosphere. You know, pain can be a friend. It's not only a threat. We're going to speak about pain a lot. Pain in our world is perceived as the #1 stressor of childbirth. But before we even diagnose and start treating, we need to try as much as we can not to cause this woman more stress than she's already in. Every woman that comes to meet us comes with a story. Some threads of this story are visible while others are hidden. When I meet a woman, I'm asking myself, what story came with this woman? Where was she born? Is she an immigrant? A refugee? How does she see me? Do I intimidate her? Was she hurt? I'm asking myself, would you want to speak to me about it? You know, I'm very, very simple with questions in my clinic. The first thing I ask a woman when she comes to see me is, so tell me your story. And I wait. I have a lot of patience. Women take some time, but usually you'll go in. Sometimes I'll ask her, so how can I assist you in your journey? Tell me about your journey. I never ask about symptoms. They'll arise anyhow, and I don't care about them as much. So my goal when I treat women is to help her, to help me to see herself in caring eyes, in compassionate eyes. There is a doctor called Laura Brown, and she said, if you know one woman, you know one woman. In my opinion, it's not our role to tell her what is right and what is wrong. We should be offering her support while keeping her autonomy safe. Pushing towards our belief system is violent, it's disrespectful. I find so many natural doctors tend to think that natural is better. It might be better for them, but we are not our patient. And the woman will go only where she can. And you know, sadly, traumatizing things will happen in her life and in our life. We cannot prevent them as we are not God. When traumatic events happen, and they do, and they have a reason, you know, the Tao is never a mistake. We can help reclaim happiness, joy, and purpose with the trauma, making it a building block in spiritual growth, a springboard of internal growth instead of a black hole. Let's look at physiology, and we look at more how does it feel, not how does it look. Again, not scientific, more feeling, right? And I'm inviting you to leave aside all science. I know you all know too much. I heard all the talks here. You're very brainy. I want to connect us to our body. You know, every behavior, thought, or feeling begins with biology. And our body has two bosses, two complementary systems, and they're shouting instructions all over our body all the time. It's the nervous system, of course, and the endocrine system. They gather intel, they make decisions, they control every move and word we make. They just do it in a very, very different way. Our body is a marvelous information highway. The nervous system actually works like an old-fashioned operator switchboard. It has nerves. You can see one nerve, it starts from one place, and it goes to another place. We can really, really see the nerve. It's physical. And signals are running from side to side. We can follow the path of the nerve. Hormones? They're a different story altogether. Hormones are magic, like real magic. And they're secreted from one place. And they reach faraway targets. No connection needed. They're like, you know, they are a wireless network. And they have an effect that is wide, and it's long-lasting, and it's really hard to control. Hormones. From conception to death, every cell, every function of our body is under constant hormonal influence. A gland, you know the thyroid, but a gland is actually every organ or structure that secretes hormones. They're secreted all over our body. We have hormones secreted in our brain, in our thyroid, in our breast, of course, around our genitalia, in our uterus. The placenta is an organ of hormones. It is. They control and regulate metabolism, growth, sleeping cycles, our response to stress. They make us want to have sex, right? Hormones. They help us bond. They work extremely hard at all times, and they do whatever they can to keep us alive and in homeostasis. The interesting thing about hormones, that all hormones have both biological and behavioral effect. Thoughts and behaviors create hormones, but hormones, you know, we blame them all the time. I do. They create behaviors and thoughts. It's not me, it's my hormones talking. I say it at least twice a week. Because the fact is, we are hormonal.